Good morning. This is Michael, the Gothic philosopher, with a lecture on advanced magical art, visualization, mediation, ritual, and transformation. Enjoy.
Today's lecture examines our J. Stewart's Advanced Magical Arts, a work concerned not with beginner-level occultism, spell collecting, or the accumulation of ceremonial decoration, but with the disciplined transformation of consciousness. Stewart's subject is the Western magical tradition as a living system of practice. Its principal methods are meditation, concentration, visualization, ritual pattern making, and mediation. These methods are not presented as separate tricks. They form an interdependent structure through which imagination, symbolism, consciousness, place, movement, and spiritual intention may be brought into a coherent relationship. Stewart uses the word advanced carefully. He does not mean socially superior, spiritually elite, or entitled to command others. Advanced work begins when the practitioner has already developed the basic ability to meditate, concentrate, and visualize, and is prepared to move beyond repetition of elementary exercises. The difference between elementary and advanced practice is therefore not the number of symbols a person has memorized. It is the depth, balance, and precision with which those symbols are used. The book moves from theory into extended visualizations and rituals, but Stewart warns against treating its subjects as isolated. Meditation affects visualization, visualization affects ritual, and mediation depends upon all of them. The written page proceeds in a straight line, while magical experience moves through patterns, reflections, reversals, and cycles. The fundamental disciplines begin with meditation. Meditation establishes stillness, receptivity, and the ability to observe consciousness without immediately following every thought. Concentration gives continuity to attention. It allows the practitioner to remain with an image, phrase, sound, or symbolic relationship long enough for deeper associations to emerge. Visualization gives controlled form to imagination. Ritual pattern making places those inner relationships into space through movement, speech, posture, rhythm, objects, direction, color, sound, and collective action. The fifth discipline is mediation, and it must not be confused with meditation. Meditation stills and focuses consciousness. Mediation creates a bridge. The mediator stands between levels, worlds, images, or powers, and allows a relationship to form between them. In individual practice, this may involve assuming the qualities of a god form, goddess form, legendary teacher, elemental power, or other symbolic persona. In group work, one person may serve as mediator while the others construct and support the ritual pattern. The danger is that the practitioner may confuse the mediated power with personal identity. A person who temporarily assumes a solar, prophetic, divine, or heroic image may begin to believe that the personality itself has become exalted. Stewart treats this as a serious distortion. Mediation is temporary and functional. The image is entered, embodied, expressed, and released. It should not become an excuse for grandiosity. Stewart's broad definition of magic is an artistic science that transforms a subject or object through controlled energies. It is artistic because it works through symbol, image, myth, rhythm, movement, voice, relationship, and dramatic form. It is scientific in the limited sense that it requires training, observation, repetition, comparison, and disciplined experimentation. Yet it cannot be reduced to a mechanical formula, because consciousness is part of the operation. The deepest purpose of magic, in this system, is not personal domination or the satisfaction of appetite. It is spiritual maturation. Magical work should reorganize the practitioner into a more balanced relationship with the self, other people, the natural world, and deeper levels of consciousness. Stewart's cosmology describes several worlds or levels of experience. These include the underworld, the human or manifest world, and the overworld, together with lunar, solar, and stellar modes of consciousness. These terms do not simply identify physical locations. They describe directions and conditions of experience. The underworld concerns depth, ancestry, death, organic life, the mineral realm, hidden memory, and the powers enclosed within matter. The human world concerns embodiment, personality, choice, relationship, and action. The overworld concerns transcendent, solar, divine, or stellar states. Higher and lower must not be mistaken for good and evil. Stewart repeatedly rejects the assumption that whatever is above is pure and whatever is below is corrupt. The underworld is not hell in the moral sense. It is the hidden foundation of life. It contains the dead, the ancestors, buried powers, forgotten knowledge, and the mysterious presence of spirit within matter. The lowest point may reflect the highest. Stewart captures this paradox in the image of stars within stones. The fourfold circle places air in the east, fire in the south, water in the west, and earth in the north. These elemental forms also reflect more universal powers described as life, light, love, and law. The circle is therefore not a collection of four unrelated substances. It is a cycle of expression, creation, formation, and manifestation. Each quarter is distinct, but each depends upon the others. The central cosmological structure of the book is the system of the five mysteries. These are the mystery of the weaver, the mystery of the son or daughter of light, the mystery of the underworld, the mystery of the vault, and the mystery of Merlin. Stewart places them in a symbolic diagram. The weaver occupies the center. The son of light stands above. The underworld lies below. Merlin and the vault stand upon opposite points of the horizon. The arrangement reveals a system of vertical, horizontal, and diagonal relationships. The weaver represents the originative matrix of being. She is the power that produces, connects, and transforms all forms. She is above and below, stellar and earthly, bright and dark, creative and destructive. These opposites belong to one process because creation requires dissolution, change, and recombination. The weaver is therefore associated with life, death, and rebirth. She is not simply a fertility goddess or a comforting mother. She is the total power through which worlds are woven. The son or daughter of light represents the savior, redeemer, solar hero, sacred king, divine child, and illuminating presence. Stewart often uses the masculine title because the weaver is expressed maternally, and because Western traditions have frequently represented solar power in male form. Yet he insists that the spiritual power itself is androgynous. It can appear through masculine or feminine imagery. The function of the child of light is movement between worlds. The figure descends, passes through darkness, enters the depths, and returns transformed. This pattern appears in solar myths, sacred kingship, sacrifice, death, resurrection, and stories of imprisoned or wounded beings. Light does not remain safely above the world. It enters matter, suffering, history, and death. Its power is revealed through passage rather than separation. The mystery of the underworld concerns descent. Below the horizon are the hidden powers of matter, memory, ancestry, death, instinct, and organic existence. These powers are not evil. They are dangerous because they are deep, unfamiliar, and resistant to conscious control. They may break down the personality's preferred image of itself. Yet this descent can become a shortened path to enlightenment because it removes the false division between spirit and matter. Instead of escaping the body to reach spirit, the practitioner discovers spirit within the body. Instead of rejecting darkness, the practitioner learns to perceive what darkness contains. Instead of treating death as the absolute opposite of life, the underworld reveals death as one phase in a larger cycle of transformation. The descent is not an invitation to morbidity. It is a confrontation with foundations. The mystery of the vault occupies the horizon because it is transitional. The old condition has ended, but the new one has not fully appeared. Stewart compares it to pupation. The initiate lies enclosed between death and rebirth. The central image may be a wounded king, a sleeping figure, a redeemer, or an initiate awaiting regeneration. The motif appears in Grail traditions, Rosicrucian symbolism, pagan mysteries, Christian resurrection imagery, and later occult systems. The mystery of Merlin stands opposite the vault. Merlin is not reduced to the familiar wise old wizard. Stewart presents three faces: bright youth, mad prophet, and wise elder. Together, they describe a spiral of development. The youth questions and perceives possibilities. The prophet passes through wildness, isolation, suffering, and disruptive vision. The elder integrates experience into wisdom. Stewart connects Merlin with the movement from the fool to the hermit in tarot. Wisdom does not begin as certainty. It begins with openness, risk, error, and the willingness to enter the unknown. Prophetic consciousness may appear disordered because it no longer accepts the limits of ordinary social perception, yet it has not fully integrated what it perceives. The elder Merlin represents not a return to conventional normality, but the achievement of balance after upheaval. The five mysteries are not isolated departments. The Son of Light descends into the underworld. The powers of the underworld rise toward manifestation. The vault transforms through enclosure and regeneration. Merlin transforms through journey, vision, crisis, and experience. The weaver holds all of these movements within one fabric. The system therefore rejects a simple ladder leading upward from bad matter to good spirit. Transformation moves downward, upward, across, inward, and outward. Visualization is the principal method through which these patterns become experiential. Stewart distinguishes magical visualization from casual fantasy, relaxation, or therapeutic daydreaming. A magical visualization has a stable symbolic structure. It guides consciousness through a sequence of places, figures, actions, and transitions. Yet it must not be so rigid that nothing unexpected can occur. An effective visualization also contains an underlying geometry. The visible story may include a door, a forest, a cavern, a river, a mirror, a tower, or a wounded figure. Beneath these scenes lies a pattern of descent, ascent, crossing, spiraling, polarity, enclosure, or return. This hidden pattern acts like a circuit. It directs the energy raised by the imagery. The underworld visualization begins with an ancient door in a stone wall. The traveler enters a passage and descends. Human construction gradually gives way to natural rock. Lamps become primitive clay bowls. The stairs appear worn by countless feet. A rope supports the traveler as the path grows steeper. The environment moves backward through layers of civilization toward older and more elemental conditions. The weaver visualization begins with a candle flame representing the spiritual light present within all beings. 3 interlocking rings rotate and expand until the traveler enters the pattern. A child guide leads the way into a building and toward a descending stair. An old man throws a ball of multicolored twine into the depths. The travelers follow the thread into an immense cavern. The thread is path, lifeline, memory, and relationship. It allows descent without complete disorientation. At the bottom, it spirals toward a vast black mirror and a crystal serpent bearing a flame. A dark-robed woman appears beside the mirror, carrying a staff around which another thread is wound. The individual sees a small reflection within an immeasurable space and confronts the weaver as a power greater than the isolated personality. The hall in the forest develops the mystery of the vault. The journey begins at a river crossing marked by ancient signs beneath moving water. A heron carries the traveler's vision across a living forest. The path passes animals, a horned guardian, an immense boundary, and finally a dying orchard. At its center stands a weathered wooden hall. The living forest and dying orchard create a deliberate contrast. The wild world remains vital while a cultivated order has become sterile. Inside the hall, a wounded figure lies upon a bed. He is both young and old. Blood flows from one side and clear water from the other, forming 2 streams. A supernatural hound guards him. Nearby, a dark-robed maiden sews with shining thread beside a broken sword. The image gathers the book's major themes into one scene. The wounded figure represents damaged spiritual, personal, or collective life. Blood and water suggest sacrifice, vitality, purification, emotion, and regeneration. The maiden continues the work of repair. The sword is broken, indicating that force alone cannot heal the wound. When a maiden combines blood and water upon a dead thorn, the thorn briefly blossoms. The Merlin visualization uses a changing narrative rather than one dominant scene. Its images draw upon the Merlin traditions associated with Geoffrey of Monmouth and earlier bardic material. The participant encounters miraculous childhood, imprisonment, prophecy, wildness, loss, teaching, age, and contemplation. The transformation comes through the whole sequence. Ritual externalizes these inner patterns. Stewart describes ceremonial magic as a fusion of speech, music, silence, formal movement, color, scent, objects, directions, visualization, and mediation. A long ritual is not necessarily a powerful ritual. Endless speeches and repetitive symbols may weaken attention. A short ceremony may be profound when every part serves the central pattern. Ritual language must have meaning. Chants, calls, and unusual words do not become powerful merely because they sound exotic. They must belong organically to the operation, focus attention, establish identity, and mark transitions. Silence is equally important because it allows the invoked relationship to become experiential rather than merely verbal. Objects function as embodied relationships. A sword, cup, cord, lamp, stone, or crystal should not be treated as stage decoration or as a machine for controlling invisible beings. A consecrated object represents a harmony between physical form and a larger power. It focuses a relationship among element, direction, image, consciousness, and action. The ritual of the Son of Light is the book's most extensively analyzed ceremony. It combines elemental, Celtic, pagan, early Christian, and universal symbolism. The mediator works through the four quarters in the center. The movement follows a Z-shaped pattern rather than a simple circle, cutting across ordinary rotation and creating relationships between opposing stations. The four quarters express purification, illumination, regeneration, and transformation. East awakens and purifies. South brings solar fire and creative vitality. West restores and regenerates. North opens towards stellar power, judgment, and the unity of stars and stones. The center gathers these differentiated forces into the presence of the son or daughter of light. The incantation adapts the cosmology to solitary work. Breath becomes sound. Sound differentiates into creation. Star Father and Deep Mother are united through the child of light. Two dragons coil through height and depth, light and darkness, time and space. A crystal becomes the focal point through which air, fire, water, earth, body, blood, starlight, and spirit are brought into relationship. The Merlin ritual joins legendary personae, elements, seasons, and the five mysteries. Taliesin stands in the east as teacher and purifier. Bladud occupies the south as sacred king and opener of the otherworld. Morgan stands in the west as regeneratrix. Ariadne occupies the north as stellar queen and revealer of eternity. Merlin remains at the northeast, the point of spiraling transition. The central power is the daughter of light, a feminine solar redeemer. The choice of feminine imagery prevents the practitioner from mistaking spiritual light for an exclusively masculine power. The officers ask who will stand for roots, plants, creatures, humanity, earth, moon, sun, stars, dragons, and the first and last breath of being. The answer is collective participation. Human beings do not stand outside creation as owners. They stand within it as conscious participants. The weaving ritual returns to the central mystery. It begins in darkness and silence. A flame is lit. The elemental gates are opened. One thread of light is declared to pass through all words and forms. The names of the Dark Mother, the Bright Mother, and Unity are sounded. Circular and Z-shaped movements weave ordinary cycles together with crossing patterns of transformation. Stewart closes the work by leaving some matters intentionally incomplete. The practitioner must complete them through experience. A system that explains every image in advance may condition the response so thoroughly that nothing living remains. The visualizations and rituals are disciplined frameworks, not machines that manufacture approved interpretations. He also warns against organizations claiming exclusive ownership of the mysteries. Spiritual transformation is not an administrative status purchased through fees, titles, or membership. Entry into a mystery is an organic change of awareness produced through disciplined relationship with its symbols, powers, ethical demands, and patterns. The central lesson of advanced magical arts is that magic is not the accumulation of occult information. It is the disciplined reorganization of relationships. Meditation changes the relationship between consciousness and silence. Concentration changes the relationship between attention and continuity. Visualization changes the relationship between imagination and symbol. Ritual changes the relationship between body, space, language, community, and power. Mediation changes the relationship between personality and transpersonal forms of consciousness. The Weaver teaches that nothing exists alone. The son or daughter of light teaches that illumination must enter darkness and embodiment. The underworld teaches that hidden and difficult things are not evil merely because they lie below awareness. The vault teaches that transformation includes suspension between an ending and a beginning. Merlin teaches that wisdom develops through questioning, disruption, suffering, vision, experience, and integration. Stewart's advanced magician is therefore not the person with the largest collection of ceremonial objects, the longest list of titles, or the most impressive occult vocabulary. It is the person capable of entering a symbolic pattern without becoming lost in it, mediating a power without claiming ownership of it, descending into darkness without confusing darkness with evil, and returning from the experience with greater balance, responsibility, insight, and service to the living world.